it's a new shop. We have a lift here, which is awesome, and great lighting, just to show us how bad this truck really is. Most of it's, easy enough to salvage, so that's not that big of a deal. The biggest thing is we've got to get this thing running and driving. So the last time we worked on it, brakes were an issue. I didn't know how to make brake lines. Now I do, so we can do that. It ran last we checked, ish. So we've got to make sure it runs, and we got to make sure we have throttle control, and then we're good. Spiders.
See if we can wiggle it off.
If you don't know what this is the FATSUN. We started this project back in 2019. 2020 happened, and well, it got out of control. And so we're going to finish it, at least get it on the street driving, and first just to get to everything. Yeah, we good?
Pause!
What happened?
You're welding on things.
I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah, let's let her eat.
So when we built this thing, it quickly went from let's put some wide wheels on it to LS swap, raised cab, and removable front end. That's where we are today. We got it close to running. The last big job we did on it, am I in the frame? The last big job we did on it was brakes, and they leaked at every single junction. So we're gonna redo all the brake lines, all the hard lines. I've had a lot of practice with that since. But we also put, I don't remember when we showed this, we also put electric actuators to lift this thing.
I think it was just the stuff in the cab.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're off. And that gives us complete access to the engine and transmission. It's all very cool. It's all very cool. But one might say we bit off a little more than we could chew originally. We've had more practice building custom stuff, feel a lot better about a lot of the stuff that we're doing here. So the goal is get the engine running, get the brakes working, the cab lift works, which is awesome. You can see we have some floor bits to make, but we could drive it without those.
Yeah, for sure.
And put the drive shaft in.
Steering
and it's
knuckles.
that easy. And steering what?
The little knuckles.
Oh yeah, the tie, we gotta make some tie rod ends. And that's all. Nothing to it. Summer job.
Oh my gosh. Fanciest. And
Whoa, look at that pattern. Look at that. Like it never happened.
nothing but runs.
So we've got starter power now. We're trying to remember, we've got a whole host of relays and stuff because basically this is running on a standalone. It's a factory ECU, but it's been tuned to be standalone. And so we're figuring out what all the wires do, trying to get it to turn on. We're gonna run it off of starter fluid first. And hopefully...
All right, you might not want to be right in front of it.
in front of the flame spitting. More.
She's good.
Whoa. We forgot to plug the ECU in. Now the ECU's plugged in, so I think it's gonna run.
You ready?
I'm ready, dude. Tie rods, fuel pump / line, brake lines, battery, radiator hoses / adapters, and we should be good to put this thing on the road. So tie rods first, because the only thing we can do today, we had to order some stuff for all of this. The plan is to use these factory GM tie rods. We'll get new ones, because these are manky. Drill this out, wonk. bolt that into there so that we'll just be able to replace this with 2003 GM tie rods, even though we're using a knuckle from a 70 something, 79 620. 4 videos now.
Right.
So. Heyo. Oh yeah. Is it spinning?
Yeah, it's spinning.
So we gotta hold the top then, I guess. Okay.
Flash in the bin?
Nah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Sweet. We got parts, brake lines, fuel lines, sensors, almost everything we need to get this thing running. Connections that have to be made is from this hose to here. Really it's from back here, but really this is the main section that we need. And then the long one from here all the way to here. This is the one that seems like it's gonna use the entirety of this hose that I just bought. A very easy solution to what appeared to be a really difficult problem. We've got hoses, and they don't look bad. I mean, they look cool. I'm for it. You see I connected this one down here. I was able to use the rest of it to make that run just barely fit. And this one obviously fits as well. Put it on, tighten down the clamp. And I mean, really I'm a pretty big fan of those. I'll link these in the description below. It's one of those things like when you're plumbing a car that's custom built and you don't know the length of anything, it's awesome to be able to buy a kit that just like works. I mean, that just worked. Some of you guys might remember, but back in 2019, my channel actually got stolen. And it was me and a few other guys that were all in the automotive world were victims of a phishing scheme through like spam emails. And long story short, the channel just was gone. And overnight, I had lost literally 3 years of work with no real way to recover it. It was around the time we started this build, actually. It was honestly demoralizing. I had spent every free second of my life for the past 3 years building that channel. We had just passed 100,000, had tons of momentum, and it was gone just in a second because a hacker found an exploit in the system. And I had no internet safety protection or anything. And well, I lost the channel because of it. Now I use Aura, which is the sponsor of today's video. Aura tracks which data brokers are selling my information online, and it automatically submits opt-out requests for me, so I don't even have to worry about it. Along with that, it allows me to monitor my credit score, it gives me a secure VPN, along with a host of other internet safety features. Strong passwords, account activity monitoring, credit freezes, and fraud alerts from credit bureaus will all help keep you safe on the internet, and Aura does all of that from one app. After getting the channel back, after it was stolen, through some really incredible effort through people I didn't even know in the automotive community like Stradman and Life of Palos, I was constantly worried about my safety on the internet. Like, was I gonna lose everything again? All this work, all this time, all this effort was just gonna go out the door again. I don't have to worry about that because Aura is constantly watching, constantly monitoring, always working to do the hard work of keeping me safe on all of the things that I do on the internet. When you follow the link below and you sign up for a free trial of Aura, it does two things. One, it protects you. People are trying to take your information right now, like as we speak. You might as well fight back, and Aura does that across the board. The second thing it does is it supports build, like directly supports build. So if you sign up for a free trial, you know that you are supporting this build, this FATSUN build that according to the survey, everyone wants to see finished. listen, the internet can be a dangerous place, but it doesn't have to be, or it can protect you, it can watch out for you. So if you're producing content like me, or if you're just browsing the internet, you can know that you are safe, that there is a company fighting for your safety on the internet. Now, what we are doing, you guys will notice I'm taking a bolt out, is removing our transcooler lines. And that is going to allow us to install these, which are adapters that thread in. I'll move the camera over here so you guys can see. These adapters thread into, there's an O-ring on them, in case you're wondering. They thread into the transmission to convert our NPT fittings to AN fittings. That way we can run AN line for our transcooler as well. Back in the day, Porsche used an oil cooler when they were having overheating issues that was affectionately called the trombone cooler. It looked like a trombone, it was made out of metal, and that's how they started cooling their engine. That was before they moved to the more complex front-mounted oil cooler setup that a lot of performance 911s have, and all 911s I think after like 80-something have. That's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna make a trombone cooler. Basically, I don't have a cooler that is -6 AN. I'll get one, they're easy to find. I just don't have one. I have an oil cooler that I was gonna use, but it's like -8 or 10, it's big. So we're just gonna get the right one later. But until then, I'm just gonna make this. I'm gonna use this entire thing and connect it, loop it around the front, and run back. That should keep the transmission relatively cool until we get a legitimate cooler, which we'll probably do a cooler and fans, so we don't have to worry about overheating issues. There's like a trillion tutorials on how to make AN lines. So look one of those up if you're wondering. I'm just gonna go ahead and make these real quick. We're gonna do straight fittings. I think that's probably the right move. But I have a ton of extra from the fuel stuff, so maybe I'll get a little creative and see. Very high volume inline pump, which is good. You need that for fuel injection. That's a mount for that. I'll go ahead and put this together, I think. Here. Goes on there. All right, I love finding cool products on Amazon. So we got the coolant lines done. Now we've got this fuel pump kit that's made for LSs. I didn't know what exactly that meant, but it came with these AN fittings that are made to adapt the LS fuel lines to AN, which is just awesome. Like that was just in the kit. The kit was $40. You got a pump, regulator, and these. So very cool. Now we can just screw AN lines in. It's perfect. It's awesome. I'm so impressed. On to fuel line. I had to charge my phone. You guys didn't miss much other than the fact that I found a spot to mount the fuel pump, and I found some sweet gloves. The fuel pump is gonna go right here. We're just running self-tappers in because it's probably good enough. All right, and with that, we have a fuel system, mostly. Let me show you what I've got. So we have our AN fittings here, those adapters. I did figure out this thing is a fuel regulator filter, and it converts it to a returnless fuel system instead of having to have a return. I think we're just gonna run a return fuel system, no big deal, mainly because I'm missing one of those fittings because I use the fittings for this to attach to my fuel rail. So this is all good. We've got a regulator in here. Maybe we need a filter, so we might put one of those in. You can see the fuel lines run down there through the frame. We'll need to put some sort of rubber there so they don't wear. And then I've got them zip tied along the frame, and they run up to the filter there. That hose going up is the return, so that'll go up to the tank, and that's where we got to stop because the only tank we have is this one. This came in the truck. It's obviously for a returnless system, and I think we're gonna go to like an actual fuel cell, but for our test drive and for now, we're going to run this tank. We'll just return it to the top of the cap up there. I think it'll be fine, maybe. And this hose will go to our fuel pump, power ground to the fuel pump, which we already have our wire. We'll run that once we have fuel in the system. and we've got fuel. That's it, easy peasy. This is awesome. I'm so glad that's out of the way. I had a lot of people wondering why I stopped this build. There's a lot of factors that went into why we stopped working on it. One of them was this stuff. I did not know how to do anything as I was doing this build, and we got so deep in a hole and I got overwhelmed, and we made brake lines and they all leaked, every single one, and I just started getting honestly kind of nervous about how much we had changed on this truck and how little I actually knew about what I was doing. So that had a lot to do with it. I've had so much practice now. I've made tons of brake lines, tons of fuel lines. I've gotten tons of cars running since we started on this endeavor, and now I feel comfortable with what I'm doing. With the brake lines I'm gonna make, with the fuel lines, coolant, all that feels really good. So this feels so much better than when we first started doing this, and I was just hoping that we didn't die on the first test drive. I think this first test drive is gonna go well. But we're not ready yet, we still have stuff to do. So the next job, we've got our main coolant hoses, upper and lower radiator, running, so the engine will stay cool now. We've got our fuel lines run. Now I'm gonna wait for Chase to get back, and we'll mount the tank and do the return and all that stuff. But it's all there, all the hard part is done. And now all we have to do is remake all the brake lines. Now this is gonna be time consuming, I'm probably just gonna do time lapse. But I'll show you some things that I've learned in making brake lines that hopefully will help you if you wanna try to make them. They're really not that hard, they just take practice, and it is a pretty nerve-wracking thing to do because, you know, they're brakes. But I'm gonna go get my brake line stuff out. I'll start building, and after I build a few, I'll cut back to video and teach you guys kind of what I've learned and how to do it if you're interested. I think this will probably be the best one for me to demonstrate. I'm using this tool from, I think it's called Lyle. Yeah, L-I-S-L-E, I'm guessing that's Lyle. The first step for doing this is setting your line in the right spot. There is a flat stopper right here. It's gonna thread into the other side, the flaring end. This is the most important part, and this is what I forgot on the last one. So listen, you'll hear it, and it's butted up against that stop. So we know it's in the right place now. I'm gonna hold pressure on it, keeping it there, and then I'll go ahead and tighten this thing down. Now these come with some like cutting grease. Load it up, man. I mean, load it up with grease. You wanna make sure that it's sliding on the end of that tubing very easily so it doesn't force the tube out. Instead it just flares it. If it gets stuck, it'll force the tube out, okay? And then you're just gonna run it down to the bottom. I guess I should have mentioned there are 2 steps to this, and on the tool there is an F1 and an F2. What we just did was F1. Now we will not change anything, insert F2. I put grease on the end of it as well. Again, lots and lots of grease. I don't think you can have too much. This one threads in almost all the way, but there's a little gap. We have to run it home. So we're gonna take this thing, run it down. It'll be a little bit faster this time. And now you can see we have a pretty decent looking flare. So with that one done, I'll do the other side. That's gonna be for our driver's side front brake line. And then I'm just going to time lapse my way through to the back. We'll get everything sealed up, and then that's gonna be a night for me. It's actually pretty late right now. But I'm excited, man. We're like moving really, really good and taking care of some, you know, pretty big issues. So I'll knock all that out, and then when we come back, it'll hopefully be daytime, and we'll start filling up fluids and seeing what leaks and what doesn't, and getting this thing ready to drive.
Well, that's super smooth freehand design.
Which O2 sensor is needed for sailing?
I just need a plug that plugs up to the O2 sensor. I don't really care.
Wait, was it not?
Huh?
Oh, you didn't have the right plug over there?
I can't find the plug over here.
I got you. All right, we're jumping ahead a little bit in history. We did a live stream, if you want to watch it, a couple of days ago, where we tried to start this thing and we could not get it to fire. We designated that there's no spark. We have fuel, probably. We at least have it at the rail, but we definitely don't have spark. I have a test set up here as well to test for our fuel signal. We definitely have an ECU on because we tested at the O2 sensor and we have 5 volts, which is the reference voltage for the sensors. So the ECU is talking, but still no spark. So that's what we got to chase down now before we do another live stream when we actually start it and get it running. But I'm not going to run it until we're on live because I think it'll be fun. What I'm going to do is test for spark. So I've got my starter system set up here. I've got a spark plug out. I'm going to ground it right here. Bring the camera in and point it right there at that thing. You got it? And then we're going to try to start it again and we'll see if we're getting spark now. Oh, there we go. That was spark. Okay. That sounded good. Why do we have spark now? That's fire, dude. But I'm not gonna run it until we're on live stream. All right, so we've got to produce our drive shaft. This is the back half of a 2-wheel drive Silverado 1500 extended cab drive shaft, 2-wheel drive. I think I said that already, that was redundant. This is the front yoke that goes into the transmission. Ooh, it's very hot. You will see why in just a minute. So we've got to put that on that. The way that we assembled the engine is we use a factory drive shaft because we didn't know what we were doing. It turns out it's paying off now because I lost it. But it's a factory rear half with the front yoke put on the front. So that's what we're doing. I've never been separated, and you can see there's these little pins in there, which are plastic. And this pops out like a zit when you heat it up. It's kind of gross, but it does work, and it's kind of fun. We're gonna let Jerry do this one. I just did the last one, and I'll show you guys. If you ever have to separate one of these with the plastic pinned U-joints, this is how you do it. You just add heat. All right, so yeah, we'll torch. We just finished up the greatest live stream of all time. If you want to see how we got here, the engine is in and it runs. I'm not even going to rob it from you. You have to go watch the live stream. So we got the engine running. The live stream is on. The first part of the live stream is called We Blew It Up. And then the second part I think is called We Saved It. At least that's what it's called right now. I may change that by the time this video goes out, but it was awesome. It was awesome. Shout out to the like 40 people that watched the whole entire time. I think like the highest we had was like near 100. It was awesome, dude. I mean, just crazy. So we're kind of stoked right now. We hooked up our power steering. This truck will have power steering, which is kind of funny and cool. So we got that up. We got the engine back together. It runs again. And now Chase is working on throwing in the new U-joint so that we'll have our drive shaft that will go into the truck. We're probably not gonna work much later tonight. It's already really late and we've been fighting that engine for 2 hours. If you wanna watch it, just go check the live stream out. We'll get this thing thrown together and then it will go into there and then we will have a drivetrain that functions, which is awesome. Give me the whole, oh look, it went down, didn't it? I didn't get this on video, but we just put the drive shaft in and it lines up perfectly. So one of the cool things about us using this drive shaft, instead of getting a custom one, this was not intended, it was just we didn't know what we were doing. But one of the cool things is when we need a drive shaft, we can literally just go buy one and put it together. So that's a factory drive shaft. It's just the back half and it fits. So we have everything connected now, drive shaft, transmission, engine runs, and now we just have what we've decided is just a bunch of wiring, right, to get it ready. We're both very tired. We were here much later than we expected to be. I think that that's all of our plumbing, and I think that means this thing is ready to be driven. So we're not obviously ready to be driven because we're missing wheels on the front still, which we've got to get, and we've still got to do these two things. So first problem, shifting. That should take care of that. Maybe we'll do that next, although I don't really know what I'm doing there. This, I do know what to do. This is for racing use only, in case you're wondering. So we'll have our on switch, engine start, and then these are accessories, which will be like fan and stuff. Maybe fan fuel pump start, or fan fuel pump something else start. I don't know. We'll do a sequence to start the truck, and that will just go in there. But it's got a lot of wiring that's got to be done from where everything is now, which is in this area. It's got to go back following that big thick harness to the ECU, and that is long enough to come back into the cab at the rotation axis, which is right there. So the harness will go in through there. We'll mount the ECU right there between the two seats, and then the switch panel will go, I think, right there. So that's next. That's next. It's definitely like... Shifting?
Transmission's not going in.
There's got to be a brake switch somewhere, I bet.
Or no transmission fluid.
From it leaking?
Yeah.
I know this is surprising, but we didn't have fluid in the transmission, so it wouldn't shift. So we put some in.
Yeah, we're gonna find that.
Now we're gonna see if it will shift.
Oh, I can just put it in neutral and start it.
Yeah.
So park, reverse, neutral, and then on the drive, neutral, drive.
That's probably good. You know, no mass airflow and vacuum, I imagine, are probably not good. What we're doing is we've got a couple of things. Obviously, it wouldn't run under throttle, especially not spin the tires. So we've got no mass airflow sensor, which means no run, pretty much. And we've got a couple of vacuum leaks. So we're gonna do the mass airflow first. We took the one off of Chase's 6.0 swapped 3500. What is it called? What is that truck called? OBS 3500 6.0 swap, whatever. We've took his mass airflow sensor off of that. We're gonna throw it onto here, right there, and plug it in and see. We should have a better running truck. I mean, we're hopeful that that's just the only issue. Just flip it around. Spin it so it's pointing backwards. See if it reaches.
It reaches.
Just check it, dude.
It reaches. Wait, actually.
Perfect. All right, so that's in with a few light modifications. So I guess try again, huh? Same but different?
Same but different.
That was better.
Seems a lot happier.
Yeah, well, you know, it has a reference for air now. Maybe it'll run with the fuel pump on now.
Try to make sure that it's not doing the fog down. Make sure it's down some gas.
Ooh, we are low. All right, we were out of gas, but it did run better. More gas. Insert fuel line. Now that should not be an issue. Interested to see if it'll idle now. We've been having trouble with fuel. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. We also plugged brake booster, vacuum, and then whatever this vacuum is plugged as well. So she should idle good, man. Let's see. started.
Doing better for sure.
Yeah. Great success. That worked well. We're very excited, but we're gonna set it down and get it all set up and ready to do a real burnout now. So it turns out 2 giant vacuum leaks and no mass airflow sensor will keep the truck from being able to do a burnout. It doesn't keep it from running, which is insane. So we're gonna lower this, get everything set up, we'll get Chase back inside, and then we will do the finale burnout, representing the FATSUN and everything it stands for, and representing its rebirth in 2024. That's it, we made it to a burnout. It works, it actually works. That's the first time we've ever spun the wheels like with everything we built, and they spun fast, and that is awesome. We are so close to driving it. I think we'll drive it in the next video, Chase.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna drive it in the next video. I also made some fenders that you obviously don't see in this video. I was going to show them, but instead, we'll just have to wait. So the next video, you'll see the fenders that I made, and you'll see the whole process for that too, because this one just got way too long with all of the drama. So stoked this thing runs. It drives. We haven't driven it. We've just driven it in place, but it will drive down the street next time on build. If you want to see more, if this got you excited, if it made you as happy as it made me, share this video, like this video, and visit the link below. That is how we're going to be able to keep doing this. I don't like asking you guys to do all that, but you guys want this, so that's what we need. Share it, like it, all the things. Let the YouTube robot know that you want to see more FATSUN. We'll see you in the next one.